Hi everyone, welcome to Ask Sophie's All About Girls series, a series where I basically just discuss different character tropes that affect females. So today we're going to be talking about the black best friend character trope, and this is not to be confused with the black girl character trope or like the ratchet black girl. This is like an entirely separate thing that I've sort of begun to notice take course like in a lot of like the popular movies that have been coming out recently. But I actually have a very special guest here with me. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Coco.
Okay, well, so Coco is another black girl who will be joining me here today to discuss her experiences with like the black girl trope. So, okay, just to give you some background, anyway, just to give you some background on what exactly this character trope is. But like, basically, for like most of history, right, a lot of the movies made in North America had featured white people and only white people. And this kind of became problematic in recent years when like diversity was becoming more prominent and like asked for by the public, and like black people and like other people of color had more of a say in the public and the media. So I feel like the media felt a lot of pressure to pander to certain minority groups, and since black people are probably the largest minority group in the United States, which is where a lot of the media we consume comes from, there sort of became this trend of adding black people for the sake of just having black people in it. And this happens to a lot of other minority groups. Like, you've probably heard of the gay best friend character trope, and that's something that's also really common.
Kevin from Riverdale.
Yeah, Kevin from Riverdale. There's literally a movie called The Gay Best Friend, so...
GBF.
Yeah, GBF. And I'm not gonna lie, in the 7th grade, I wanted a GBF. I actively sought out gay guys to be my best friend because that's what I saw on TV.
5th grade.
But yeah, so that could be really problematic, especially when like you have this young, impressionable audience consuming that media. But so a couple of the movies where Coco and I sort of like saw this the the black best friend character trope would first be 10 Things I Hate About You. The black girl who
Gabrielle Union.
Gabrielle Union, the character played by Gabrielle Union. We don't remember her name because she legit had like 2 lines in the entire movie,
and she just reacts.
Yeah, most of what her character did was react to things happening, and like there's just so much to... This isn't a podcast about 10 Things I Hate About You, but there's a lot we could talk about Gabrielle Union's character in that movie. But yeah, also there's kind of... I've noticed like a revolution. Like I mentioned, this isn't about like this podcast isn't necessarily focused on black... Well, like, it's not necessarily focused on like the black girl trope in general. It's more of like a specific subsection that I'm curious about. But I think this subsection actually like has like revolved from the ratchet black girl to being like more of like an overly bubbly and supportive to a fault best friend. And what I mean by that is, okay, so Tall Girl. Did you watch Tall Girl?
Yes.
Okay, the black friend literally just like is so positive, and like I loved her, but like for no reason. Her friend was kind of trash and like always gloomy and was never had her back at the same extent. And that's like a problem about all supporting characters. So I guess it's not necessarily exclusive to the black best friend, but that was something I noticed. And almost exactly the same character in High School Musical, the series, with Nini's best friend, the black girl who we don't even know her name despite being black ourselves.
It was like,
yeah.
But she was into fashion and like she was so like colorful.
Yeah, and like had a bright personality, which is great, but like she's always at the background. And okay, interestingly enough, you think we're attacking white media, but I think some black media is also guilty of doing this. Dear white people.
Joelle's
character, Joelle's character is exactly, it's like the exact same girl in different ages and shapes and sizes. It's kind of surreal. I really urge you, if you don't know any of these movies, please search them up and like you'll actually be shocked. But Joelle's character is the best friend of the biracial Sam, who's like sort of the subject of the show. See, I remember Sam's name, I forgot Joelle's. There's a reason for that. But anyway, so I'm just gonna be interviewing Coco here. And just like, so, I mean, from our conversation so far, I'm assuming you're familiar with the black best friend character trope, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so how would you describe the black best friend? Like, is there anything that sort of deviates from what I've said so far?
Nothing really. Basically, everything you said. Really supportive. Usually goes out of their way to make them feel happy. No one really knows anything about her. You don't know anything about her life. Her life basically revolves around her best friend, from what we see in the movie.
Yeah, and there's like this, I'm just gonna stress this again, like this is common for a lot of like the best friend characters, but it kind of becomes a problem when it's racialized, because there's like, I feel like it's worse with like black girls as best friends than like with white girls. Like with like the white best friend character, for example, 13 Going on 30, the main character's best friend, I forgot her name, but she at least like had a life, she had a past, she had a personality. But this girl has, and like she had like ambitions, you know, goals of her own. She was trying to like be the head of the magazine, and when her friend was like being more successful than she was, she like tried to sabotage her. Like obviously we don't want people doing that, but like at least she had like some sense of drive, instead of just like holding up her best friend and like just like, you know, putting like all her effort into like her best friend's happiness. But okay, so this is a hard question, but do you think there's some truth to the dynamic of the best friend with her white friend?
The dynamic they have with each other?
Yeah, do you think it's reflected in reality? Like, do you think this is accurate in like real life? Do you think like the best friends are like that?
No, because we're both black girls. Like, we all have like different friends. So like in the movie, especially because the white girl is like the main character, we're not gonna see like anything about the black girl. But I feel like in like reality, since it's both of our lives, like you see like the other person's life and like you help them and like you're supportive of each other. So like the movies and TV shows aren't really portraying that correctly.
That's so interesting. So you've never felt like you were the stereotypical black friend in a friend group?
In a friend group? No.
Wow, that's so interesting, because I've definitely felt like that. I remember the friend group I was in like the 8th grade. It was like these two white girls. They were super popular, so I was like, oh wow, they want to be friends with me. I was like super flattered. But I remember like I cared mostly about her problems. Like she'd text me and be like, oh my gosh, I DM'd this guy, and like I'd be like, oh my gosh, really? Like I don't think I ever talked to her about my life, and it's not even that she never attempted it. I remember she'd ask like, oh, can I come over? And I was like, no. But I just like, I don't know, I guess like I watched too much TV and like movies and stuff. I was just like, oh, like I guess my stuff doesn't really matter as much as like theirs, which I found like really fascinating, like thinking about right now, because it's like, wow, because you like we know about the media having influences on people, but like it's harder to like actually pinpoint which specific parts of your life are like as influenced by the media. And that was definitely something that I didn't realize until I was like planning this video, which I planned this time, okay? It wasn't like the last podcast. But yeah, so do you have anything you'd want to add or something?
Yeah, I was gonna add this. I think mostly why I didn't have like I wasn't like the black girl best friend was because like all my life growing up, I never really had a group of friends where they were just white girls. Like, yeah, so I don't really think, because like my best friends that like weren't even like like group-wise, they've all been like someone of color, not even black, just like somebody of color, and like we'd always check in on each other's like that. So I think that's why, like, I feel like even like once in grade 4, like I was really into like hair braiding, and I'd always watch these like braiding videos, and then there was like the group of like popular white girls in my school. They were all blonde, and then one of them was like, oh, can you do like the fishtail braid for me? So then at recess I was really excited. I don't even know why, because I think that's one of the things that also like movies also like showed, that like the group of popular girls, they're like so like cool, and like so I went with them during the recess, and then they were like, what is she doing here? And I was just so shocked, and like their conversation wasn't even fascinating. Like one of them was singing, and like she was bad, like it wasn't that cool, and I just felt kind of like left out in a way.
Oh wow, that sucks. Okay, so final thing before we leave, we're past time, but it's fine, who cares? So would you say Dion is the best friend from Clueless?
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah. Because I feel like she's more like she has more character to her. Like I don't feel like she fits into that, but she's also like kind of the ratchet girl in a sense.
Yeah, like because her boyfriend is so ratchet, and he's so like not classy. But like the other girl, Ty, we kind of get to know more about her except from her love life. We know that she's kind of like rough in a way, and they try and like transform her into this new person. If you really think about it, we know nothing about Dion except she's rich, she's Cher's best friend, she sucks at driving, she has a boyfriend that's not classy,
and we know she had only had anal.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that concludes today's podcast. I hope you guys liked it. Make sure to subscribe, comment your thoughts. I'm really curious. And yeah, see you in the next one.